Boom. Where there's a will, there's a way. This is excellent. This is maybe indicative of some of the early ages of bots where some things are working and some things are not working. But we're all happy, we're good, and things are going on. Excellent. So on my first slide, thank you so much, Maurice. One of the biggest challenges with new technologies is where do they fit, where do they work, and where do they not work? Perhaps with some experience just this morning with where they don't work. You know, websites, when they first came in, people created brochures with them, right? When apps first came in, people sort of recreated their websites with them. And when bots are now coming in and having coming in for a year or more, people are trying to make them into apps. Well, they're a little different, and they fit a little different use case, and they need to be created and built and used differently. So we're going to dive into that, how to use each one, where and when, some of my thoughts, some of what I've seen as well. We're going to go a little bit fast. We don't have a ton of time, especially since I had the technical issues off the top, but I will post this on my website as well so you can get the full presentation. Excellent. Maurice, if you can pop to the next slide, that'd be wonderful. So we all saw this, what Satya Nadella said. Satya Nadella, of course, CEO of Microsoft. Bots are the new apps. Now, he is a very smart man, and he is doing amazing things at Microsoft, but this is not true. Move to the next slide, please, Maurice. Bots are many, many things. In fact, yeah, that's bullshit, is what he said. Bots are many things, but they're not the new apps. In fact, they're very different than the new apps. If we can move to the next slide, please, Maurice. Thank you. Marketers are always jumping on the latest technology, but they're always very confused about the latest technology, probably because there's so amazing much of it. What you're seeing right here is, if you haven't seen this before, is a landscape of all the companies in MarTech. It's from about a year ago, and there's about 3,500 different companies on that. Pretty amazing, pretty stunning, pretty crazy. That's one of the reasons why marketers are often very confused about where bots fit or where new technology fits, and are now confused about where bots fit and how they can be used. I've personally talked to Scott Brinker just recently in the past couple of weeks, and the new one that is going to be coming out of this particular technology landscape, has 5,000 logos, 5,000 companies that are active in different spaces. Excellent. Next slide, please. So I'm just checking chat here for a moment just to make sure that everything is still working. Looks like it is. Excellent. Thank you so much. So when bots first came out, there was a ton of hype, right? Now, and perhaps for some months, we've been in some sort of trough of disillusionment on bots. Both extremes are silly. What you've seen on the screen is from Bot Analytics. Notice the large 57% retention rate for commonly used entertainment bots. Actually, that's a nice thing to see and to say, but it's kind of cooking the books. If you check the smaller print, retention rates can be as high as 10%. The average is 4%. I don't say this to be negative on bots, but to say that we're in early days and things will get better over time. Excellent. Next slide, please. So my goal here is to provide a little bit of clarity about when you should use the web, when you should use apps, when you should use bots, and when you should use agents or assistants. You'll notice I added that one. It wasn't in my program description. I felt it was important to add. If you don't like it or disagree with it, sue me, or we can talk about it after in the Q&A. But I differentiate between bots and agents or assistants. Bots, I think, are simple, usually text, sometimes voice, but they're kind of constrained constructs. They're often verticalized in a certain area, whether that's maybe appointment building for medical practice or something like that. Whereas agents or assistants are more complex. They're platform-based. They're broad. They can be text. They can be speech. And they connect multiple functions across a lot of different areas, multiple apps, multiple functionalities, that sort of thing. Again, please feel free to agree or disagree later on in the question period. Excellent. If you could pop to the next slide, please, Maurice. So a very little bit about me. I've been in technology for quite some time, built websites, apps, built a variety of technologies, led some teams. I currently am the mobile economist for Tune, which is a mobile marketing platform used by companies like Uber, Amazon as a customer, Twitter as a customer, Sephora, others like that, and our technologies in 3.5 billion devices globally. I still write. I wrote full-time as a tech journalist for 3 years. I still write for Forbes and VentureBeat, Business Insider, and I just added Inc. as well. So a little bit about me so you know what's going on. Please feel free to connect. I'd love to hear from you and chat with you. Awesome. Next slide, please, Maurice. So let's start with the web. The base level platform in terms of ubiquity, right? It's still a very viable choice for development and delivery because of that ubiquity. Any device, any platform, any message, any location, the web is kind of the base layer of technology for a lot of the things that we're doing today. Also, there's significant speed, right? You're removing a lot of friction. For apps, you've got to install them. For bots, you typically want to be on a platform, although of course there are web-based bots as well. And if you just have a lot of information to dump, the web's very good at long form. Also, multiple media. Apps can do multiple media, of course, right? Video and audio and text and images and other things like that. VR as well, right? Although integration of disparate sources of data and media are not as easy to accomplish necessarily in an app environment. But bots can struggle sometimes at image galleries, videos, comparisons between two different things, perhaps, complex layouts, interactive charts and graphics, whereas the web works for those. And finally, ease, right? Just two examples. If you've got payments, for instance, Apple Pay, Android Pay, just works. It's in your browser, right? Your browser knows, your system knows. And so payment can just happen. I don't have to enter all my details again. Also, connectability, simple links. Getting that in apps and bots with deep links and universal links is possible, but you do often need an additional technology layer. Excellent. Maurice, if you can pop to the next one, I'd really appreciate it. And then apps, right? Apps are a little bit out of favor right now. We're past the gold rush stage, right? And that's a little different in every country. So I know there are people here and will be people listening to this from all over the globe, so you may have a different experience. In the U.S. and in Canada, for instance, we hit peak app at about 2014. And people are still installing apps, and there's still an amazing ecosystem there, and you can still have things like Pokemon Go come and from nowhere and go crazy and amazing, and there are multiple examples of that, not just that one. But the peak of when people were installing apps, the highest velocity per person was 2014. We've declined about 30%, 35% since then, right? Other countries have not hit that yet. India, for instance, not there yet. China, I'm not certain about. Getting close to that, I think. And it depends. But most of Western Europe will be similar, I believe, to North America in terms of penetration of smartphones and ability of people to have gotten the apps that they want and need and not get too many more. But still, it's a very viable scenario. What is it good for? Well, context. You want location, you want time, you want some sense of activity, what people are doing. Apps can do that. Engagement, deep immersion, intense immersion over time, right? Whether you're into games or into media, you're doing social, or you're even doing content creation, right? You can get deep engagement in apps. Also, accessibility. We live in a mobile-first world. Phones are the default device. I call it the 3-foot device, never more than 3 feet from your body, right? Apps are the fastest way to whatever you might be going for. Open the phone, tap an icon, boom. You're kind of one layer from immediate. Often, not always, bots are 3 layers. Open the phone, go into a messaging app, going to find a conversation. That's not always the case. Bots can be on the web, for instance, and could be embedded in an app, for instance, as well, but is often the case. Also, rich interaction. Apps offer full interactivity and very, very rich interaction, unmatched perhaps even by the web in some cases. And then distribution. Apps are certainly crowded. They're certainly busy. And yes, we use 5 to 8 apps mostly, with 30 to 50 apps on our phone in total. But there's still no other distribution method on the planet that we can get content and functionality into the hands of tens of millions of people as quickly. Possible exceptions to that, web and social platforms, but we've seen amazing virality in the mobile app ecosystem for some years right now, and that's not necessarily stopping. App installs have slowed, but they're not stopped, and they are, and it's certainly not everywhere. As I talked about, different geos, different areas of the world have different experiences with where they are in mobile and mobile maturity. Excellent. If you can forward to the next slide, please. Finally, bots, and you've been waiting for this. It is Bots Camp after all. And when is this guy going to talk about bots? Yes, I am going to talk about bots. Bots are absolutely a huge opportunity, in my opinion, but not necessarily the way that many have built them over the past year, trying to recreate what other media, what other channels might do better, right? So some areas where bots work really, really well, in my opinion, when you have existing customers, they have work with you, they need help from you, and they'll seek you out, right? That's really important because discoverability is still a major challenge for bots. Facebook is fixing that, and they announced some things at F8 last week, or in the past 10 days, that are going to help solve some of that, but discoverability is still a challenge. Second, attention. Even though discoverability is a challenge, if you have something awesome, people will seek it out. So, for instance, the world's first robot lawyer, maybe the most successful bot to date, right? Doing some amazing things and clearing people's tickets, right? Pretty impressive. Important note, that bot is built on the web, right? That's not a messenger bot. That's a web-based bot. And we talked about the web and the ubiquity that you can get there. Very, very interesting. Other examples, I mean, the homework bot, Koetsier bot, there's tons of media attention because it's very interesting. So there is some built-in kind of wow factor when you do something kind of new for the first time in a platform. I will say about that particular bot, the homework bot, if you've ever tried Koetsier bot, it's tough. It's hard. It takes a long time to set up your courses and everything like that, so the thing will ask you the right things at the right time, store your homework, and remind you about it as well. Also, if you need one-to-one at scale, for instance, Chris Messina, he's the inventor of the hashtag, used to work for Uber, Twitter, a couple other places. He's had his own bot for half a year or something like that. You want to request his schedule, where he's going to be speaking next, what he's doing. Absolutely. You can go in there and 100 people can do it at once, 1,000 people can do it at once. Big brands, of course, this is true even more so. And you can get this one-to-one factor that we cannot otherwise achieve, but we want to have this one-to-one intimacy with people. And we're getting closer and closer to be able to do that very, very well as bots get smarter and smarter. And then finally, when you have a simple bounded problem. Now, this will be true less and less over time as bots get smarter, as we stop just calling every bot AI and it actually has artificial intelligence built into it. We're seeing platforms develop right now that have significant capabilities to ingest information and be able to understand that cognitively and be able to respond to requests from that sort of base of knowledge. But that's not necessarily super common yet among all the bots that we're seeing. So if you have a simple bounded problem, that's pretty critical. Most bots are pretty stupid, frankly, at this point. And the huge proliferation of quick bot building tools, build your bot in 10 minutes, build your bot in 15 minutes, that sort of thing, is kind of ensuring that this will continue to be the case for some time yet. You can avoid the comprehension problem by offering a bot for very specific purposes. One example, Mobile Monkey. It's a pretty new company started by Larry Kim, who built WordStream. WordStream, if you never heard of it, manages about $1 billion a year in Google AdWords spend and optimizes it. He started that company, did amazing things, super smart guy, and this is his new venture. right, does nothing but book appointments for professionals like dentists and doctors. So that's a simple, defined problem with limited capacity to screw up, to go outside of the area of comprehension, right? But it's also an important challenge. It's something that you can use one-to-one on. It's something that, if I want to set an appointment, I don't want to wait on the phone on hold for 5 hours. 5 hours is a little much, I understand. But I don't even want to wait for 5 minutes, and certainly not the 20 minutes that I might have to wait. I just want to tell something about, hey, I'd like a doctor's appointment tomorrow or next week at such time. Is it available? And the bot can respond, right? Simple, defined problem, limited capacity to screw up, still an important challenge. So those are some of the areas where bots can really kill it today. As they get smarter, as bots start incorporating more and more real domain-specific, artificial intelligence-powered knowledge and capability to respond, we can expand on that. And we're seeing that at the edges, right? We're seeing that at the peak of capability right now, but it's not common throughout the bots landscape, in my opinion. Excellent. If we could move to next slide, please. I wanted to talk about agents and assistants because it's really, really, really critical. This is huge and this is massive, and this is a sea change in what is happening in technology and what we're going to have at some point in a year. I think we'll have some very significant pieces. In 2 or 3 years, we'll have some amazing, life-changing pieces where we're going to have some technology that comes alongside and takes care of a lot of the stuff that we don't want to take care of. I want a trip to Munich. I'd like a hotel. I'd like dinner at a local steakhouse, and I'd like tickets for the local football team, right? Soccer team. And I want to tell Siri that. I want to tell Alexa that. I want to tell Cortana that. Whatever. Maybe Facebook M that. And I want that to just happen. Figure that out. Give me an itinerary. Maybe I'll give you some criteria, what I want to spend for the hotel, how much time I want to be at dinner, those sorts of things. But go do it. Right now, if I want to do that, I'm into 5 or 6 different apps on mobile, and a half an hour to 90 minutes of searching, checking, finding, all that stuff. I'd love to put that aside. And that's just personal. Assistants and agents are going to be huge in terms of work as well. So wanted to add them here. So where are they going to work? Where are they going to fit? Well, one, when you're integrating, right? You're not going to build your own agent. For most of us, we're not Amazon, we're not Google, we're not Apple, not Microsoft, not IBM or Facebook or Baidu, right? But if you can integrate into Alexa or Siri or Google Assistant, you can still win. So Kayak, the vacations company, right, does vacation discovery via Alexa. Hey, Alexa, where can I go for $500? Right? I got $500 to burn. I got the weekend. Where can I go? Vacation discovery, vocal communication, and there you go. The assistant can go help you figure that out, right? When you want to differentiate, is the second one here. Agents are going to drive a huge percentage of commerce. That's why I talked about them a little bit up front, right? How will you be set up for success in that world? Why will they recommend your services as a brand, right? What's your relationship with the platform owner? How much engagement can you drive? Retention and skill, action integration. Will there be kickbacks there if the agent chooses your hotel or your airline? Will there be some retail markup? Will the agent make 2 or 3%, 1% on the volume of dollars you drive? These are very, very early days still, but it's better to start sooner rather than later. Learn here, learn faster, and become number one, because this is coming and it's going to be massive. Voice is another one, right? When you're maybe turning up the temperature in your house, or you're adding 2 numbers. Siri, what is 85 plus 3,921, right? Or when you're getting the capital of Kazakhstan, right? There's good voice first problems. Some problems are not good voice first problems, or not entirely voice first problems. So for instance, comparing 2 or more cars that you're considering buying, that's not a great voice first problem, because there's a lot of complexity. You need to see things, right? You need to compare things. You want to see pictures. You want to see charts, data, that sort of thing. Hard to convey all that via voice, right? So you want to pick agents or bots or apps or the web for the problems that they can solve. Another one, payments. If you're reordering washing detergent, you can reorder via Alexa, and Amazon knows how to take your payment. They have your credit card. You can't say the same for most bots. Payments are also built into Messenger, sure, but how many people have given Facebook their credit card? Not as many as have given Amazon, for instance, and probably not as many as have given Apple, Google, and some others as well. And then finally, customers. And this is true for all the previous slides. If your customers are early adopters of one or more of the technologies, you should know that, and you should get where they are. Some very interesting data from eMarketer yesterday that I blogged on the Tune blog, which is that customers all over the place. They want data from messaging apps, from bots. They want data they want communication from you in push messages, in-app messages. They also want it via assistants, agents, and so it's important. So one more slide, please, if you can push forward.
Yeah, we are almost at the end. John, thanks.
That is very good time. This has been my presentation on web, apps, bots, and agents, when to use each. I thank each of you for your time and attention. I would love any questions, if there are some, challenges, whatever. Criticisms are perfectly fine as well, and suggestions. We're early stage in a lot of these things. A lot of you are incredibly smart and have great experience, and love to hear what you have to say. And Maurice, thank you for this opportunity, and I turn it back over to you.
Yeah. So thank you, John. That was absolutely cool. I would totally agree that at the moment, some bot solutions or some bot products, they are in a way on a basic level. But at the same time, I would say I recognize there is a lot of development potential, and I think you would agree that as well, John, that there is
100%.
a huge future for bots coming up.
100%. 100%. Totally agree.
Yeah. So, any questions, folks? We have now the break here. In my track, there will be a 30-minute break until 6 p.m. Zurich time. And if you like, you can jump now to the Thomas track. He has a track now with the next session. So that was just in between. Is there any question for John here about his presentation? In the meantime, I would ask you again, John, because there was this kind of microphone problem at the beginning. I was asking you, where are you broadcasting from? So
yes.
Could you repeat that? Because it's always an interesting element.
Of course. I live in Vancouver, Canada. But I work with a lot of U.S. companies, technology companies. So I'm currently broadcasting from my hotel room in San Francisco, California.
I see. And again, for the ones who didn't hear that, Thomas Schulz, the founder of the Bots Camp, is broadcasting right now from Barcelona, where he's living, and I'm in Zurich. We are two Swiss guys here behind the Bots Camp and living, in a way remote from each other, but in a true online digital conference, it's absolutely no problem. And I think that applies for you as well, John. You are a digital nomad.
A little bit.
I think so. Well, that sums it up so far. Don't forget, please, guys, that we still have contact in our Slack community where you can contact John as well for later questions, or us. That's the big advantage. There are still registrations going on in the Slack community. It's unbelievable. We are now on 779 people in our community and growing. So,
wow.
John, a big thank to you in San Francisco now, giving us this presentation, and I wish you all the best for all your bot projects you are doing.
Thank you.